Today on Metaphysical Mississippi, we have Ada Martin. She's with Hands of Earth Energy, and she'll be talking about her grand opening that she'll be having, as well as all the things that she does and give a little background. So come along and have some fun with us. Hey, Ada.
Hey, Ada.
I forgot to say Krista's here too.
I'm here too. Yeah. So I think we can give Ada the blue ribbon for the best backdrop today. I love. Ada is sitting in her soon-to-be new shop and studio in Magee, Mississippi, which we're so excited about. They're still painting and cleaning and last minute remodels, I think. And I guess next week you're going to start bringing stuff in. So it's very exciting, but I love your love back there.
Yes.
It's the most nice, eclectic, unfinished wall I have.
I love it. What room is that going to be?
This is going to be our workshop room where we'll do classes and things like that.
Oh, wonderful. So I hope in the future to spend a little time in there doing something. Wonderful. So you are not originally from Mississippi, are you?
No, I'm originally from Florida. My family's from Cuba. I'm first generation American. And we just moved here a year ago next week.
Ooh. And what the hell were you thinking? No, I'm joking.
I get that a lot, but what people fail to understand is that Florida is great on videos and pictures and to go for short periods of time. But it's like oversaturated, overpopulated. I was from a little town that was kind of like Magee. It's called Homestead, and so there was an Air Force base there, and so after Hurricane Andrew, things kind of just blew up and investors came and bought up land and everything, and so our little town is not so little anymore, and so streets don't have the capacity for the amount of people and buildings, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, because I've heard of Homestead, so yeah, it's growing and becoming popular among the rest of the country. So, well, we're glad to have you here. And I joke saying that because I'm originally from Louisiana, but that's just across the river. I mean, I love Mississippi. We have our issues, of course, but it is home, and there's a lot of great things, and that's going on in the state and in the Southeast. And that's one reason why Emily and I wanted to start this podcast is to share the stories of the people here, but also things that are going on and how the state and the whole Southeast United States is we're growing, we're ascending, we're maybe even changing the things that need to be changed. Evolving, that's the word I was looking for. Evolving, ascending maybe, but so we're excited. We're glad you're a transplant and hope that you feel like you're a native before it's up with.
I can tell you that I haven't felt more at peace and more calm and more at home since I've moved here than I felt when I was home in a long time.
Wow, that's great.
We're glad. And like I said, we have some baggage, we have some history, we have some reputation sometimes here in Mississippi, but we are the hospitality state, and there is a lot of love and camaraderie and community in the South, and we get to help you use that charm, that aspect, that characteristic of the South to help people heal and grow spiritually and like you said, evolve and ascend. So it's a gift that we have that we can use to help our local community and the broader community. So I'm excited to see how your new business brings that growth, that evolution, that ascension to community of Magee. So you got some supporters up here in the exit area for sure. So I'll shut up and let you talk now.
So, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, but then we're going to get back on track with you sharing a little bit more about your spiritual history. But I just want to say that I like to say I Google stalk people, and when I research them and I look on their socials and everything, and I see that you're very active in in community, festivals, street markets. I see you're going all different places of the state. And so you're probably interacting with, you interact with more people probably than, well, I do, of course, but how has that felt coming as a transplant and being in small town Mississippi communities and sharing your giftings that are not the mainstream? What is the audience? How welcoming is the community? Or do you want to share some of the challenges that you feel people who are in the metaphysical community are facing, and how, you just kind of let it roll off, or,
So I always kind of experience, I feel like, three things. The, oh my God, we need this. The, you need Jesus. And the, oh, this is cool. Like, oh, it's just pretty, and I'm okay with that, because we are not for everybody. And I believe like not everybody is at their awakening point. I felt called to Mississippi because I really felt called here, and visiting here made me feel like there's a lot maybe I have to offer, our community. But traveling around has been great. I will tell you, you guys have the greatest hospitality. I have had the greatest time meeting people from all walks of life, not just from locals, but travelers that come. I mean, it's been fun. I've done a lot of that only because it's like, okay, I'm coming somewhere new. Nobody knows me. I'm literally starting over, and I just turned 45. So it's been a little challenging this last year, but I was like, no, we got to do it. And I'm glad I did it, because I've met amazing people along the way, people who were like, I need you. Like, I've been looking for what you offer. Like, and so that makes me feel good. That makes me feel like, okay, I can help and make a difference in my community. I can help spark awareness. Even if we put that little, just light the candle, that might bring light to somebody, even if it's not right now, but maybe later on they'll be like, oh, there's something here.
Well, what they say, I don't have a green thumb, but I mean, I believe transplanting does bring new life.
It does.
I thought of transplanting. I mean, because I've had to transplant several times in my life, and as the one who was transplanted in those, I grew immensely as well. I felt I gleaned more in my transplant. I mean, maybe I did make a mark in somebody's life, but I really feel like that other garden that I was put into really helped me. And I'm just glad that you are here as a transplant to help glean out and spread out your roots.
Thank you. I am too. I really am.
Hands of energy.
So I can tell you how I got my name. It's kind of,
please do.
okay. So hands of earth energy means I use my hands in Reiki. I'm an earth sign in Feng Shui Batsa, and I work with energy. So it was hands of earth energy. So I kind of collaborated with what I do in my practices into my name.
So, I love that. I love that. So, I want us to get back to your origin story, but I also want to know, maybe this is a good time to tell us what all services are going to be in your new space.
So right now I have obviously I'm gonna have a crystal store. I make gemstone and crystal jewelry. We have a huge yoga studio. At the moment, it'll just be yoga. I'm looking for yoga instructors or anybody who wants to participate in yoga here. In the future, I'm looking to buy yoga hammocks, and so we can do more aerial yoga and use the hammocks for like sound baths and just cocooning. I will offer my Reiki services. I'm looking to buy a salt booth and offer that alongside with my Reiki services. And so I will also be teaching Reiki. I teach wire wrapping, help you learn how to make your own jewelry with your own crystals and stones, as well as open up my space to others who want to teach or have something they want to teach, herbalism, how to can, sigils, like different things. So I've had this vision for so long, but in Florida, I didn't have the space. So now that I have the space, I feel like it's my turn to open up my home to help others also share their gifts.
Yes,
So
I'm excited.
You said canning, as in canning.
Anything. Yes, like teach us how to preserve, like how to
Yes.
all kinds of stuff that we need, going back to our roots and herbalism and things like that.
Oh.
I'm open, like I'm so open for a little bit of everything. You have no idea.
Well, I mean, I think that that's in a great little, I mean, when I travel up and down 49, there's always so many produce stands and all that. Of course, it'd be great if I actually had all those veggies out in my garden, but I mean, I feel like it might be, I mean, that area just seems like it that all these ideas you're having.
Well,
I
this
have a good market in
kind
there.
of growing a little bit, and I spoke to a couple people at one of the local markets, and he says that I guess people my age or are coming back home or not leaving their area and staying and rebuilding their community,
Yeah.
which I thought was amazing. So
How far off the 49 is your store?
like a mile.
Oh, that's wonderful. Good. We might have to get you a billboard out on 49.
I thought about it. I just can't afford it right now.
I know.
Oh, you just need an old truck and a piece of plywood to lean up against it.
That is not my style. I love you, but that is not my style.
Arrow pointing every couple of miles. That's 49 for you.
Yeah. You'll get right in.
Like the boiled peanuts guy. I get it.
Yes. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Well, I was thinking a new one and not a gray piece of plywood, but one that was more.
I keep bumping my table.
Okay, so, all right. So you said you're first generation here,
American.
but your family is from Cuba, and did you say somewhere else, or was it just Cuba?
Cuba.
Cuba. So you want to share a little bit about your spiritual origins of your ancestors from there, and
Sure. So in Cuba, they have the Catholics, and then there's also the Yoruba practice, which is some people call it like brujeria, or there's a lot of different things they call it. But Yoruba practice.
Can you spell that for me?
It's Yoruba.
Okay.
And
Cool.
so with that, you know, in our family, you did your first communion. Our home wasn't, I was raised with my grandparents, so it wasn't a very like Christian-y or you have to go to church. It was frowned upon to not do your first communion, but we started it but never finished it. And I'm quite glad because it opened up my eyes a little bit to learn some, but at the same time, because there was two practices and one was more spiritual, you know, we were able to think and believe for ourselves what we wanted to do or believe in. You know, we were talked about God. And so as I got older, I remember my godmother was the family card reader, right? And so I remember her on Sundays coming over to my grandma's house, and my grandma would cook dinner, and kind of like all the sisters would gather and they'd get their cards read. And sometimes they'd end up, you know, by the end of the day, with branches just whacking us, cleaning us, you know, to make sure there's no evil or anything negative around us. We just got whooped with branches. As kids, that was my take on that, okay? As an adult, I understand it was what it was for.
Yeah.
And they just beat us with and they line us all up, all the kids, you know, and they just go to town on each of us. And so I remember things like that as a kid, you know, and as I got older and in my teens, really, there was really not much of any spiritual stuff for me, or even you know, the thought of that. I have been on my own styles very young, like 14. So for me, it was more about like after, it was like survival and living, and you know, everything else came later.
Yeah, just getting on with your life. That's
Oh, I just want to ask a question about the reading, because I didn't grow up in the kind of household that we had, you know, cards other than playing cards, you know, just normal go fish. But when they would read, are they reading based on what is going to be happening this week, or a warning of, like, you know?
Yeah, just in general, like things that are to come or that could happen based on how the tarots were, how she read the tarots. You know, it was only not just what the card said, but also intuitively what she was receiving.
Okay. So it was just in their culture to go talk to her, I mean, to allow her to. Did you ever really, what am I trying to say? If I
Was it
jumble
accurate?
around.
Maybe. Was there accuracy in what she said? Many times.
No, or just like, now I'm just trying to imagine living in a household where, you know, you do live your life based on reading tarot, because I'm not. Is that the same as like having a grandmother, you know, pray for you, sit on the front porch and pray for you kind of thing? Or
no, I don't think so. It was just something they did just to make sure that, you know, like overall, like there was not going to be any like drastic, or like, especially like if somebody was like going for a surgery or somebody was ill, they would like tell you like, oh, so and so could be sick, or there could be a possible accident, just be careful, tell the kids to be careful, or do cleanings or cleansing, you know, to help avoid, you know, or prevent.
Gotcha.
it was just like spiritual hygiene, sort of, just yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Gotcha. Well, so did you carry on those practices with your family?
No,
your
not really.
immediate family, like?
You know, I didn't for a really long time, and I think maybe in my mid early mid-20s is when I got into the practice. And I got myself back into not myself, I kind of felt called to the practice because I had just had a baby, and not long after they diagnosed me with uterine and cervical cancer. And so,
Oh my goodness.
you know, in one of your moments where you just ask for guidance, and you know,
Mhm.
this came up for me, and I was like, you know what?
Right. Yeah. Seems like whenever, well, those times when we bring life into another life into the picture that we're responsible for, we really go back to those roots, or that our spiritual awakening happens, or our hunger for it
Yeah.
usually
Right.
happens. Well,
For
so
me, it was a little different because as a nurse, I had to look at the science on it on paper and be like, it says you have cancer, and then also have to have the faith and belief that he says, no, there's nothing wrong with you. And so for me, it was like, okay, like I'm kind of like stuck in the middle, like which way do I go, you know? And one day I was like, God, if you save my life so that I can raise my children, I will follow, you know, whatever.
right.
And that's kind of how it happened for me. And I went for a full hysterectomy, I want to say about 4 weeks later. And when the results came back 2 days later, he says they didn't find anything.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was one of those moments in my life where it's like, all right, I promised this, and this is what I'll do. And it shifted for me as we went, because I was very involved into the Yoruba practice. I even what they call, like, I crowned a saint, so Yemaya and Ochun. And so, you know, they do the whole shave the head, you dress in white for a year, it's very, very like rituals and cleansings and all this stuff. And so I was very deep into my practice. I want to say 10 or 11 years. But that kind of changed for me because I started noticing that it was becoming very fear-based. I always felt like I've changed my whole life. Like I've changed my whole life. I went from a person, girl, I used to fight every other day. I quit my job. I would fight at work, quit my job. Like I was a little out there. I'm not gonna, you know, I was out there. And so I was like, all right, I'm not yelling anymore. I'm not fighting anymore. I'm controlling my anger. I'm seeking help. I'm going to therapy. I'm reading like meditation books. I really started working on myself. And I remember one year because in this practice every year, you know, you have these saints, right? And they're like, and so the godmother is supposed to come and throw like coconuts to ask questions like, is everything okay? Does she need to do a cleansing or a this or a that? And I remember at this point, I was already had a bad taste in my mouth of how my godparents or the people were carrying on the religion, because they showed me one way and then they turned around and started acting like who they used to talk about. And I didn't like that. You know, if you taught me this way, this is how it should be, and this is how it should always stay. You know, we're true to who we are, right? So that started to change, and it started becoming more about money and more about, you know, power and likability and all this stuff that I'm not about. So anyway, so she came and she threw the coconuts, and it was like bad. And I was like, you know what? If I have changed my whole life around, like I completely changed my whole life around, you wouldn't know who I was from the person a year ago to who I was that year. And I said, and this is what I'm getting, then I'm done with this. Like, I'm going to pick everything up and go to the trash and I'm done. But before I went on an Ada crazy moment, I called a gentleman that I knew that was also in the practice that I trusted. And I asked him, and I explained what I was feeling and what I thought. And so he came and he asked the same questions and did the same thing, but the answers were different this time. And so every time he would finish asking the question, he would ask another one. He says, was that negative, like a sign or a warning for the godmother who was doing it? And it was like, yes, that was her sign, not yours. And so then I was like, okay. So then after that, for me, because of all of that, and they were making it very fear-based, and I would go and it was like, there was never nothing positive to say. And it was like, this can't be, like, you only tell me bad stuff, negative things, and put people in panic. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna believe in my way, keep doing things how I was taught and for myself. And so I kind of just shifted away. And I will tell you that that was the biggest shift in my life once I separated from that. And I was no longer afraid. So I was afraid all the time something bad was going to happen. And I was like, I'm tired of living like that. So that's when like my biggest shift came into spirituality. And I was like, no, we all have this gift. I have these spirits or guides that are with me. And you know what? As long as I do no harm and take no shit, we're good, you know? And that's what I do. I help who I can. If you know what, I believe if you screw me over, you're not screwing me over, you're doing it to yourself, because I believe in that we're mirrors of each other. And so what you see in me is already in you, and vice versa. So that's kind of how I live my life now. And it's just, you know, I help who I can. And that's just be within myself.
I love how you, I'll let you talk for a second, Chris, but I just want to say, I just love how you pinpointed that that is the obstacle with anything, religion, new age, whatever, is that fear, that seed of fear that controls your actions.
No, and not only that, but the moment I stopped being afraid, the world opened up for me, you know, because before I didn't do a lot of things out of fear of like, well, what if this happens? And it was like, I don't want to live like that. I'm like, you know what? I got to the point where like, if something happens, it was meant to happen for whatever reason, but I'm just going to live, and the hell with the rest. You know, I was just tired. I was tired of living in this box, and I just, no more boxes.
Get out of the box. What are we gonna say, Krista?
Oh, well, I will say something else first, just to say that, you know, I think that is a common story amongst many people who, you know, we throw around the term awaken or start their spiritual path. We're giving it that label. Everybody's on a path, whether they know it or not. Everybody's awakening, whether they like, everybody's awake. It's just some of us aren't aware that we're awake. You know? No, I don't know, because I don't ever like to sit in the seat of judgment on you're awake and you're not. You know, that's not. But what I was going to say is that's just so beautiful, because the story you just told, I think, is a lot of people's story. Just the details are a little different, but that's a lot of people's stories. And I know I had my own moment years ago. As a young adult, I left our religion around 19, 20 years old. Just didn't think about religion for a little while, then came back to Christianity for a little while. But I don't want to say I left Christianity, but I finally got to a point where I allowed myself to be okay with exploring many other different spiritual practices and not just limit it to Christianity. So I haven't abandoned Christianity. It's just I'm looking at a lot of other things. But I had that similar moment. I've had many of those moments, but I remember one time being on my knees at my bed with my grandmother's Afghan over me and just saying, I can't be scared anymore. I have to do, if I'm wrong, God, then just have mercy on me, but I can't do this anymore. it wasn't necessarily about going to church. It was about things that I were doing or ways I was behaving in life because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. Like you're grown up to believe you're supposed to do this certain thing and be this certain way for all these people. And then it's exhausting. And you wake up one day and say, why am I doing this? Is this really what I'm supposed to do? And I didn't want to do it anymore. And the God that I know gave me a sense of, once I said that, there was peace. You don't have to do it anymore. I'm not the one that told you how to do that. That was years and years of conditioning that told you you have to do that. So I think your story, there's such a common thread with so many people with that. There were two other things I wanted to say or ask you about too. Well, one of them I forgot. The other one, I want to go back to the practice from your ancestors. You said the Yoruba, is that how you say it? Was there a lot of, was that something that melded with Catholicism? Like was that a practice?
Not with Catholicism, but more like the Virgin Mary was they have a saint was a spirit, and so they kind of merged, one with the other to kind of be able to practice their religion. So Yemaya is the mother of the ocean, which I think was La Caridad de Cobre. I don't know what they translate to in English. But then you had Ochun, which was, she's the mother of the rivers. And then you have Ouattala, which is the mountain. And then you have Olofi, which is the sky. And, they have all these different, the Elewa, which is like a little boy that lives in the woods, but he's like the protector of your door. And this is a lot of little things, and different saints and things like that.
And the truth is, we don't have to throw those things. I think in every religion or belief system or practice, it's not so much, this is how I feel today. It's not so much that we have to say, oh, that's the truth or that's the truth. It's all has truth and it's all tools. It's how we interpret it. It's how we use it. It's how and that, I think that was the disconnect that you began to feel. It wasn't that there was something particularly wrong about the tradition you grew up with, or that it was the only true way and it was right. It was that you saw that disconnect.
Yeah. And not only that, they would do a lot of animal sacrificing, like chickens and this. And I was like, why would, and in my brain, it was like, why would God or the universe create this animal for us to kill it and give it blood? Like, it doesn't make sense. And so I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. Not doing it. So,
and I think a lot of those practices began because of we humans trying to interpret things and think, okay, this is what it is. And I might offend somebody to say that, but I'm sure we could find things even in Christianity that's practiced today. They're like, okay, was that really what Jesus did? Was that really, was it in the Bible? And what was in the Bible?
I have a lot of questions for the Bible. I like a lot of them.
Yeah. But I think the truth is like Emily said, is to not let the fear lead us, and to also be open that knows that, to know that spirit or a higher power or whatever it is guiding us to grow and to change. And so sometimes we do outgrow some of the practices that at one point were not only important to us, but were beneficial, like they were beneficial.
Yeah, it was like a stepping stone. It was a stepping stone.
Yeah, and even the practice of animal sacrifice in this particular religion may have started off with it being a logical reason. Like there was a logical, practical, about everyday life that made sense to them at the time. But then we do grow and evolve, and I think God is okay with us growing out of some of the practices that we had when we no longer need them, when they no longer serve us.
They're probably about to eat it, and then they're just like, let's give the gods the blood of the most precious, that 10% tithe, You know what I mean? That they say, thank you or whatever.
And it could have started as being like, a lot of the indigenous tribes or older civilizations, like they didn't waste. Like if you needed to eat that animal for food, you used every bit of it and you gave thanks for it. So it could have started off as, we're eating this, we're going to give the blood. The blood is the oxygen. The blood is that life force energy that's in this animal. And we're going to give that back to the universe or back to nature or back to God, because this is the most highly, it could have started very, what's that word? Not intentional, but sincere. It could have started as a sincere practice, and then it got polluted and diluted. And then the next thing you know, us humans, we like to screw everything up sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
So how do you go navigate today with new concepts, new age ideas or whatever,
So
without falling into a trap again of,
I always every day, when I'm feeling a little ego-y, I always have to catch myself and be like, hey, that spiritual worm, watch it. Because and I always remind myself, I was like, remember how you talked about these people? Don't be that. And so I always check myself and I'm like, no, we're not doing that. I do a lot of daily meditations. There is this ascendedmasters.org. They have this this daily meditation book. It's a little book, costs like $5 or $6, but I love it because it's a constant reminder of the energies of the day, who the archangels of the day are, and what their energy is and what they bring to us. And so that is like, and it tells, like on one of the days, it's like, watch for the spiritual eagle worm, that lives within all of us. And so for me, it's a constantly daily reminder and be like, no, we want to live different.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And I'll be selling those books here too.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. I was like,
So do you feel that though, that I love how you said that spiritual ego worm, though it's there, does it serve a purpose?
I think we all have it, but it's whether we choose to feed it or be like, no, we're not doing that right now. I believe we all have choices, and it's just what you choose. We have free will.
It could be that sandpaper, that antagonist, that just to keep us on track, even because it's the thing that gotten out of control can just just screw everything up. But it's there to like constantly like, no, checking ourselves. It's a little
For me, that's what it works, because
yeah.
I don't like to be a hypocrite, and I don't like to be like, oh, I know about this much, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I learn every day from different people, and our practices are all different. And maybe something you say at first is like, oh my God, that sounds crazy. But then the more I think about it, like, wait a minute, and I believe there's truth in everything. And so I'm open to Buddhism. I'm open to feng shui. I'm open to everything, because it was given so that I feel like that each person can choose and use what they need, because one thing doesn't work for everybody. We all learn differently. So I feel like that's why there's so much, and so.
And one thing that doesn't work for us all the time too. Sometimes that's why, you might need to have more than one tool in your tool belt, because
I agree.
What is the sort of spiritual hygiene that you use in your practices, and are these tools going to be available in your store? Like, do you use scents or incense or all that kind of stuff, smudging or whatever.
So spiritual hygiene for me is very important. I start with first my daily meditations, which is if my energy and hygiene is correct, then everything around me is in harmony. I do use incense. I light incense every day. I do my sound bowls. I sit under my pyramid at least 30 minutes every morning before I leave my house. I will bring my pyramid and have it here. And I always allow people who I feel are in like real big disharmony or just not having like a good day or something. I always allow them to sit under there and I'll play a sound bowl for them just to kind of help balance the energy, just kind of bring it back.
Now, I don't know what you're talking about. What is a pyramid that you sit under? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Kristen, you may
That's
know.
a whole, yeah.
So I have a huge copper pyramid, and you know, copper is a huge conductor of energy. And when you guys come, I'll set it up for you. And
I was gonna say, can you bring that first so when I come visit?
yes.
I know about it, but I've never done it.
So if you sit under the copper pyramid and you play a sound bowl, you can literally feel the bouncing of the energy from the four corners inward. Now, if you've done a sound bowl and you feel that vibration throughout your whole body, that's one thing, but do it under a copper pyramid. So we're in the process of building more to sell. My husband makes them for me. And so we'll have those as well.
It's be on the list.
It's taking me a little time because it's, you know, things are just happening so fast and I've had all these things and it's just, but yeah, copper pyramids are awesome. And so that is how I keep myself in check, you know, and I make sure that my energy centers are in alignment and balance. I also like to wear the colors of the daily rays. So each day is a specific energy for archangels, the devas, the Mahachohan, and so a specific energy, it brings a specific color. So I like to dress in those colors daily to be intentional about what I do daily and what I bring daily.
Oh,
Is okay. So, sorry. Is that something that you decide? Like, okay, today I want to bring in Archangel Michael, so you might wear purple, or are you saying there's certain days of the week that are set aside
based on your ascended masters.
Right. So like Saturday is Saint Germain. So I dress in purples on Saturday. Green is Archangel, no, pink is Tuesdays. So it's Archangel Chamuel, which is love. So I wear pink. White is, oh my God, I don't know who it is, but it's like all-knowing knowledge, information clearing. Thursdays is green. This is not something I chose. I have been practicing for about 8 years or studying metaphysics in Spanish with my master teacher. And so we've read so many books like the Bridge to Freedom, the Great White Brotherhood, the Ascended Master Teacher Foundation. They have all these books. And so like Monday nights we do a class and it's in Spanish and it's all about the same, just very spiritual, learning how to manifest, learning how to call upon these energies, these archangels, are the elementals of our body that are just there waiting for us to say, hey, you know, come help us or help me recreate, you know.
I love that.
You said you do is this a class that you're doing physically going to a class there in your area, or is this a online class?
Yes. No, I used to go to her house and when I was in Florida and
when you're in Florida.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I would like to start it here, but I had started when I was in Florida, but it was like we started and everybody just kind of dwindled off. And I understand. And that's why I kind of was just like, you know what, maybe this is not the right time. But maybe we'll pick that up.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I know when you were talking about Spanish speaking, I'm sure that in Mississippi. I know we've got pockets of it all over the place. I mean, that's a community that I wasn't even thinking of that.
No, but in Florida, I will tell you that the Spanish older population are very spiritual. They're very open. And I was kind of surprised to find like I was the youngest in these classes and these seminars. And when I started, I was like maybe about 30, 35. And and I was always like, oh, the baby's here, because I was always there. And they were like, oh, the baby's here. And everybody else is in their 60s and 70s. So you learn a lot being around.
Oh, I'm sorry. I always just assumed Spanish. I'm thinking Catholic. What exactly was this?
So it's not it's called just metaphysics, just learning metaphysics.
Okay, gotcha. Wow, that's so interesting. Okay, so you said you're going to do the pyramids. So how do you end your day, hygiene wise?
Oh my goodness, my day. How do I end my day? I end my day, I just, when I'm laying in bed, I review my day in my head and I ask myself, what could I have done better? What could I have changed? Or what could I do tomorrow to be better? And I just kind of just go through it daily. And I always, at the end of the night, it's like, if I did wrong, I'm like, God, please forgive me for the misuse of my energy and help me, correct it tomorrow.
You're a good sport for answering these questions, because I would not have been prepared to give an answer about.
I'll give you mine.
Go on.
Mine. I start my day with a cup of coffee at my desk. just like immediately working. I end my day watching Netflix in the bed so I can turn my brain off. So that's not very spiritual sounding, but mine are more like throughout the day. I just have to stop. A lot of people who know me, I talk about my recliner rest. I get in my recliner and I have a futon here at the office. And mine's not so much first thing in the morning or at night before I go to bed, though I do try to like tap in just a minute or two, because I know that's important. But for me, I try to get mine out sometime during the day. Like when I feel like I'm okay, then I stop and I just either just meditate or do, sometimes I have to do a guided meditation to turn my brain off. But my favorite meditations are not guided ones. Ones I just
Those are the best.
Yes, and throw a little self Reiki in there. But I love to hear other people's practices, because I am not a structured person. But then I say, well, I may not be structured to do stuff at a certain time, but when I hit that wall, I know, ooh, I got to stop. I got to stop. I got to go. I got to recenter. I got to connect. I got to do my thing. But anyway.
So when is, so what is the kind of calendar of when? Give us the address, where you are, what is happening, what's your store, or what all you offer. Give us your little spiel.
Okay, so at Hands of Earth Energy, we do a little bit of everything. You get hugs if you need it. We do Reiki sessions, which my Reiki sessions include a little bit of all the modalities that I know. You get your Reiki session. I use my crystals. I use hypnosis. I do guided meditations when we work the past, we work the back, just because I want to go a little deeper and help you clear and release some of that stuff. I do sound. I do frequency. So it's like a big, nice all-in-one session. Our address.
Oh, yeah.
Our address is 106 Main Ave North in Magee, Mississippi. Our grand opening is going to be on the 23rd of May at 11 a.m. I am having a yoga glow dance party on the 26th at 6:30. It's like in a yoga celebration for our grand opening week. It's $15. The link is in our website or in our bio and on Instagram. I created an event for it in Facebook. On June 3rd, I'm doing a wire wrapping class. So it's like a hour and a half, 2-hour class where I provide all the supplies and teach you how to make your own necklaces. We'll have mimosas and snacks, because who can do jewelry without mimosas?
You had me a mimosa or snack.
I like to do mimosas. I like to do mimosas with almost everything, but and then I'm gonna have a Reiki level 1 and 2 class July 1st and 2nd from 10 to 5 both days, and everything is provided for: book, pendulum, food, snacks, everything.
Oh, wonderful. So we'll make sure to we'll get all the details and add that information in our description notes for the podcast, as well as the YouTube video. It sounds so exciting. I mean, I can't wait to come and try the pyramid and ultrasound stuff.
Yes.
You're gonna love it. It changes like instantly. In my old store, I was in a building. It used to be a bank building, and I was on the 3rd floor. So all the girls from the other offices, when they were having bad days, they were like, "Can I sit in your pyramid?" And I'm like, "Come on." So I was the place where everybody went to when they were stressed out for 5 minutes.
Yeah. So is that, so have you had a store like this? Well, back in Homestead, we didn't have the space, but you had a little store.
I had a very little store. I was literally in 900 square feet was the whole space of my store, but it was broken down into like sections. So when you first walked in, I think I had 200 square feet of store. And then I had one room that was like 200 or 300 square feet. And that's where we did like our classes and workshops there. Then I had like a little kitchenette area and a back room where I did my Reiki. So
yeah,
those little 4 rooms was my 900 square feet. Whereas my shop here now is just 900 square feet. Yeah. I also want to add, like, I want to open up my space for others. So like if others want to teach a class or I have the space where I can help others. And so
wonderful.
It's one of the reasons.
I'm excited.
Well, thanks, Ada, for coming on here. Chris and I have had so much fun meeting you at the meetups, and then we had a party or the weekend before. It was so nice getting to know you, and we're looking forward to checking out your store, and we'll put all the details online.
I'm excited not only for you, but for us that you are doing what you're doing. And I'm sure hopefully we'll have you back as you're doing, as your business grows and as you add more services, and especially have classes. We'd love to have you back to talk about those things or any topic you want to dive into and have a good metaphysical chit chat. We're open to having you back on. Let's do it.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I'm honored that I got to meet you guys and I have this opportunity with you.
So yeah, thank you.
All right. Y'all have a good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye.
The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent.